A very good evening. Welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Ashing Sanibira Singha. Let's have a look at the headlines first. Finally, much-awaited consignment of 500,000 vials of COVID vaccines will be in Sri Lanka tomorrow. Insurance law should be amended to assure benefits on employees, Labour Minister suggests. News in detail. Chief Advisor to the President Lalit Veeratunga said that 250,000 frontline workers will be vaccinated against the coronavirus from next day onwards as the 500,000 vials of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine manufactured by the Serum Institute of India and donated by the Indian government will arrive in Sri Lanka tomorrow. Chief Advisor to the President Lalit Veeratunga revealed this information addressing a media briefing held at the Government Information Department this morning. The government recently approved the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine manufactured by Serum, known as the COVID Shield vaccine, for use in the island. Accordingly, the consignment of 500,000 vials is scheduled to arrive at 11 a.m. tomorrow via an Air India flight. Veeratunga, who heads a presidential task force appointed to oversee Sri Lanka's vaccination drive, said that there are some 150,000 health workers and 115,000 to 120,000 police and security forces personnel who have to be vaccinated as a priority.
We have lined ourselves up in the world competitive stage to get the vaccine from various institutes. But right now what we have is AstraZeneca, for which we have placed orders. But if the Sputnik and the Sinopharm also gets approved, well, it depends on all the data that is generated out of the trials and whatnot, then we will also have a combination of vaccines. I strongly feel that there will be a combination of vaccines, and we need to make sure that this combination is very timely received and timely used. So hopefully, I have had certain discussions, very tentatively I can say, at least 50 to 60% of the target group that we are looking at, we believe can be vaccinated during the course of the year. That's a very safe kind of timetable that we are putting out.
Chief Advisor to the President Lalit Veeratunga said that China will also gift an additional 300,000 vials of its own COVID-19 vaccine to Sri Lanka upon a request by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. He said that China has agreed to donate its Sinopharm vaccine, but discussions are still going on how to bring it to Sri Lanka. Elaborating further, in charge of COVID-19 vaccine program, Mr. Veeratunga also said that China's Sinopharm and Russia's Sputnik V vaccines still need the approval of the World Health Organization and the National Medicines Regulatory Authority of Sri Lanka.
I must also confess, we did not at any point of time exert any influence on the NMRA. The NMRA was completely left to do a job on their own, job of expertise. So once they said, okay, we need about a week, we will look at all the data, we will look at all the data that various authorities gave them. Having looked at that, they said, fine, this can be used here. And this can be used here as an emergency vaccine. That is the criteria on which this is being brought in. In regard to the Sinopharm, I must say China has very graciously said we will donate 300,000. I think these are friendly gestures. Once the NMRA goes through its studies and they say, okay, if the Sinopharm is also good to be used, then we also we can start the procurement process.
Chief Advisor to the President Lalit Veeratunga also added that National Immunization Program is conducted as emergency program and therefore the private will not be allowed to engage in the process despite of several generous proposals from the private sector. The chief of the immunization program also said that the program also does not cover any requirement of priorities other than its assigned methodology.
The National Immunization Program or the National Vaccination Program does not factor in the private sector hospitals to administer the vaccine, particularly not this one, because this is an emergency situation. Only the government vaccination points will do that. I may have overlooked this particular point. I need to tell you, at the best level of operation or even the optimum level of operation, the Health Ministry even envisages having about 4,000 vaccination points. Each vaccination point is just not a place where you can give the jab, but you need to have post-vaccination aftercare. There can be a complexity somewhere. Someone might faint, someone might vomit, all sorts of things can happen. They need to be taken care of. So we need to have maybe a few beds, maybe aftercare activity, all that. So when you think of all this, it is not advisable right now to allow the private sector to do that. So if someone is going out and wants to get the vaccination, to tell you very frankly, right now we don't have a facility. It might come out later when we have more vaccines, when we have a fair amount of storage. That can be a parallel activity where, some kind of priority can be afforded.
Stay tuned for more news after this short break. Welcome back after the break. Sri Lanka Tourism yesterday said that the country has welcomed over 400 international tourists after reopening borders on 21st January and expressed confidence that interest will build up gradually towards the first half of the year. Sri Lanka reopened the airports following the 10-month closure as part of mitigating the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. As of yesterday, a total of 407 international travellers have arrived, where 300 Ukrainians applied for visa online through the Immigration Electronic Travel Authorization after it was opened for the pilot project, and the balance were from Germany, China and Netherlands. In the first 6 days since resumption of tourism, nearly 20 Level 1 hotels have taken bookings for the travellers that are in the country. The hotels are Emmy Colombo, Ayurveda Paragon, Cinnamon Bentota Beach, Insight Resort Ahangama, Taj Bentota Resort and Spa, Coral Sands Hotel, Kahandakanda, KK Beach, the Villa Blue Sky, Jetwin Lagoon, Cinnamon Bay, Thurya Kalutara, Hibiscus Beach Hotel, Santani Wellness Resort and Spa, Valigama Escapes, Talalla Retreat Centre, Cape Valigama, Ayurvi Valigama and Ceylon Tea Trails Dunkeld Bungalow. Airport Aviation Services Vice Chairman Rajiv Surya said around 15 airlines have scheduled regular flights to Sri Lanka at present. He also said the majority of the tourists were flown in by Emirates, Qatar Airways and Sri Lankan Airlines. However, he said that there were no private jet movements so far. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has instructed to expedite the repatriation of Sri Lankan migrant workers who are waiting to return to Sri Lanka. The Premier instructed the authorities at a discussion held at Temple Trees on the repatriation of Sri Lankan migrant workers abroad affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. State Minister of Foreign Employment Promotion and Market Diversification Priyankara Jayaratne said that a large number of Sri Lankan expatriate workers who are burdened by economic difficulties are waiting for an opportunity to return to Sri Lanka. The Prime Minister expressed his confidence that steps would be taken in consultation with the Presidential Task Force on the prevention of COVID-19 to bring these workers back to Sri Lanka as soon as possible. Accordingly, the discussion also focused on granting the necessary permits for the passenger planes carrying these workers and performing PCR tests. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said that the Presidential Task Force would also look into whether the workers could be allowed to quarantine themselves according to the facilities available in their homes. At present, about 32,000 Sri Lankan workers have been repatriated and another 22,483 are waiting to return to their homeland. Sri Lankan Airlines Chairman Ashok Patrage, who also joined in the discussion, said air travel facilities have been provided to the workers so far in accordance with the space available at the quarantine centres. Minister of Labour Nimal Siripala de Silva suggests that the country's insurance law should be amended, enabling the lifestyles of the country's working force. Labour Minister De Silva made these observances addressing a scholarships awarding ceremony dubbed as Shrama Vasana Scholarship Education Program, which was held at the Labour Ministry premises yesterday.
මීට වඩා පුළුල් වූ ක්ෂේත්‍රයකට අපි ගමන් කළ යුතුව තිබෙනවා. මේ වගේ ශිෂ්‍යත්ව ලබා දීම මේවා හොඳයි. ආධාර ලබා දීම හොඳයි. නමුත් එයින් ඔබට ගිය ජාතික වැඩපිළිවෙලක් අපිට අවශ්‍යයි අපේ ශ්‍රම බලකාය වෙනුවෙන්. මේ සාමාන්‍ය කම්කරු ජනතාව ඔවුන් රකින්න රක්ෂණ වැඩපිළිවෙලක් අපි ගේන්න ඕන. අපේ රටේ රක්ෂණ නීතිය වෙනස් කරන්න ඕනේ. යුරෝපය, ඇමරිකාව වගේ රටවල් වල පෞද්ගලිකාංශයේ රැකී ආරක්ෂා නැති වුණු අයට 70ක් 80ක් පඩිය රැකී ආරක්ෂා ලැබෙනකන් ආණ්ඩුවෙන් ලබා දුන්නා. නමුත් අපේ රටට ඒ වැනි ආර්ථික ශක්තියක් නැහැ. ඒ නිසා අපි අනාගතය ගැන කල්පනා කරලා මෙවැනි ප්‍රශ්න නිසා රැකියා අහිමි වන වැඩ කරන ජනතාවට අඩු ගානේ අවුරුද්දක් දෙකක්වත් රැකියා ලබා ගන්නත් එක්ක ඔවුන්ට ජීවත් වීමේ ක්‍රමයක් සකස් කිරීම සඳහා සුවිශේෂී වූ රක්ෂණ අරමුදලක් අපි සකස් කරන්නට ඕනේ.
We'll be back with stock updates after this short break. Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all-share price index gained 146.19 points to close at 8,812.01 and the S&P SL20 gained 1.28 points to close at 3,505.33. The turnover was 14.4 billion rupees and over 497 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. And that's all the news for today. Take care. Good night.